I'm Scott Duncan-Fernandez with Somos escrito here with V. Castro, the author of the new book, Aliens Vasquez. V. Castro was born in San Antonio, Texas, to Mexican-American parents. She's been writing horror stories since she was a child, always fascinated by Mexican folklore and the urban legends of Texas. Castro now lives in the United Kingdom with her family, writing and traveling with her children. Her other books are Mestiza Blood, The Queen of Cicadas, Hairspray and Switchblades, and she edited Latinx Screams, and she has an upcoming book called The Haunting of Alejandra coming up next year. But we're here today to talk about Aliens Vasquez. Welcome, V. Castro, and thank you very much for being here with us.
Hi, thank you for having me. And thank you for everyone who is tuning into this.
I have the first question. It's one question was on my mind. Like, how many times did you watch Aliens for this book?
Oh, you know what? Actually, I didn't have to watch it very much because I've seen it so many times. I've seen it so many times. So I watched it and then I wrote the book and then I had edits back. And there was only one scene where I needed to rewatch in the film for the edits, but that's it. I've seen it so many times that I kind of, it was very clear in my mind, the direction I wanted to take Vasquez. And a chunk of the book, very little of the book is the film, because I wanted to expand the canon and I wanted to expand, what people know about Vasquez and her legacy. So the film, I knew it by heart already. I watched it once and then again for edits, but that's about it.
So I watched the movie last night, prepared to talking with you, and I recall years, it came out in '86, and I remember articles and whatnot being critical of her as a character, being like some kind of chola stereotype, right? And I watched it. And, I had a different reaction when I was a child when I watched it. But when I watched it this time, I didn't get that at all. What I got was her character was tough and capable, and she dealt with some racism. And I know the actress wasn't a Chicana, where I would have been better, but I'm not upset about her representation. And so I kind of think I really loved your book in that, you really gave her a Chicana soul, and she has this backstory now, and it really is aliens, Chicana aliens. It's not a what was I saying? Aliens with a mild taco sauce or something. It's the real deal. Also had this aliens barbecue with rice and beans and chiles toreados and 100 cousins around.
Well, look, that is why it's important we're writing these stories and we're writing our stories. Because again, her original character was written by James Cameron. And it was just kind of, okay, she's a Latina who was locked up. She was in East LA in gang activity, but there had to be more to it, and I wanted there to be more to that story. You see that she's has this incredible physique in the film. Well, why is that? Why does she have that physique? Why is she into her fitness? What makes her so strong and badass? Where does that come from? And so that's what I did is I made her into a real woman, based on, me as a brown woman and my aunties and my mom and my great grandmother and cousins and the neighborhoods I grew up in. So that's kind of where that came from. And again, I wanted to reclaim the story and the character, and it's the first of its kind for the franchise. So I'm really excited about that.
I was very happy I was very happy to see a brown character, not as side character, not as this is alien. This is her culture reflects how she sees these things, how she reacts, and is much different from Ripley, which I want to get to in a bit. But other thought on Reclamation was, as I read it, I also was thinking, I was very happy to read this, but it was also make me thinking, we have our literature and whatnot is full of reclamation. Even Joaquin Murrieta, like his story is a reclamation. Like that's like, I mean, at least Yo Soy Joaquin's a reclamation. The Life and Adventures of Joaquin Murrieta, that book was the first Native American book, but he didn't really write it for us or for Native people he wrote it for the Anglos, you know, to make a buck basically. And and so it's like that was reclaimed in the 60s with that poem, like his whole imagery and everything. And so I think reclamation is a good thing to do. And it's not like it's not, I wouldn't say it's not a retcon. It's much different than a retcon.
I mean, I had a story in my head and in my soul, and I just wrote it. I just wrote what I felt was right. That's how I write. I feel it, I see it, and then it goes on the page.
I mean, the other thing I was thinking, like, you know, aliens, a lot with there's monsters, there's guns, there's like there, you know, action. It's the same thing with the books. But it's, you know, and the franchise, it's a feminist franchise, right? There's a female lead fighting patriarchy. And I really got this, and for me, this is, you know, because there's Jeanette Vasquez and then her daughter who picks up the story, Leticia. And so it really struck me, like, you know, between maybe the difference between Ripley and Jeanette and her daughter, you know, and because she's Ripley. There's also class differences. There's race differences because, like in your book, like you had mentioned, like Jeanette is like she's poor, and it's like it's a system that makes her poor because like her family can't afford the what do you call it, the vaccine for the plague, and there's other things that happen, and so she's forced into these situations, and they keep on. And so I think it's a different experience between white women and brown women, and you really kind of show this on the page.
No, absolutely. And I also wanted to show, because in a lot of the alien films, you really don't know what's happening on Earth. You really don't get a sense of what's the environment on Earth and what would push people to go to space. What were the circumstances surrounding governments to and companies to recruit criminals to be Marines? What it would take had to be something going on. So I wanted to put a motivation of how she was recruited. But again, you know, I couldn't change the fact she was recruited when she was locked up. So I wanted to, again, make that something that, you know, she's just not she's a typical, you know, bad kid, bad girl in gangs. I wanted there to be, wow, I could see that really happening because we see it happening and we know it happens. So yeah, I wanted to, and again, you said it just right. You know, there is a difference being, you know, a white woman and a brown woman or a black woman. There really is. So yeah, that of course that has to come across in the book.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of
I've experienced it.
Yeah, we see it. Like who we are at Chicanismo and connection to ancestors is really important in the book. I mean, it's really important to the characters and how, and it really struck me. This is our culture is how, like reading your book kind of made me realize this a little bit stronger, you know, is that our culture is and our ancestors are a template for survival and against, and how to keep going, and how to struggle. And like she has this really strong connection to the soldaderas. Maybe talk about them because I really love that. And maybe because, you know, there's another franchise, Star Wars, where they kind of stole the look, you know, Princess Leia and her buns, right? That comes from the soldaderas. But like Jeanette and her daughter really look back. They think about the soldaderas, and that helps them drive them to you know, they have this warrior past, and maybe you can talk about that.
Yeah, again, you know, our history is beautiful. It's rich. It's parts of it are terrifying, but there's a lot of strength. There's a lot of ties to the ancestors. And so, again, I wanted her story of being a Marine and being a fucking good Marine to be deeper than, oh, I'm in lockup, I need to get out. I wanted there to be a family tie because, like a lot of Chicanos, the military does play a role in our lives and in our families. Like I come from a military family. My uncle was a Marine, and so I wanted to take it back to these women in Mexico, these badass fighters, and these women who carried weapons and they knew how to shoot. They knew how to protect themselves, and some of them wore big skirts because that was what they had to wear in the fashion, and others were wearing trousers. I love that for them. And I love that for us. And I wanted that tie with Jeanette where she has that proud history, because a lot of us do. But unfortunately, we don't get a chance to tell those histories correctly from our mouths. So I wanted to touch on those women who are forgotten, who don't get the spotlight. And I want to say, hey, in The Haunting of Alejandra, which comes out with Del Rey in March, you can pre-order it now, little plug. I also have the Soldaderas. And, again, I wanted to spotlight these women who were very important, very fierce, and worthy of our attention. And they feature in that book as well. And also in The Haunting of Alejandra, there is a trans fighter. And he lived to a ripe old age of his 90s. He was a decorated fighter. And a lot of people don't know about, Colonel Robles in fighting in the military for Mexico and during the war, and it's like, wow, this amazing history that goes back. These are people who should be honored and not forgotten.
You kind of bring up something that, I always love about Chicano literature is that we're always like, it always has to wear many hats, right? Like it has to function, it has to be important, it has to be relevant, because that's how we get our history. A lot of times that's how we get our history. That's how we get stories told. That's how we get examples. That's how we get, like they're not really there might be some teachers out there teaching about soldaderas and about the people you had mentioned, but it's probably not many, right? It's how we really have to work to find it. And I think fiction and stuff like that is how we often share this history and this culture and I lost my train of thought, but yeah, I think you know what I'm talking about.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate, doing this, because we do need to get it out there.
Let's see, there's another character. It would be there's a twin, because Jeanette had twins, and it's this other thing when I think about the system. So Jeanette and Leticia, they fight the system, but there's a brother. He's a bit like Burke, but he's also, but he's never really. He's shown to be greedy, and I think it's something we also face. You're kind of showing community. A lot of times, people they just want to be the system, but with a brown face. They want their own little empire, and they get, ported out as like, this is how you should be, right? And it's like, no, they don't care about anybody else. And I kind of appreciate that. But he's also shown to be human, what I really like, because there's some conflict, but it's never shouted, you're a bandito, you're all this like that. But it's like, you get to understand where he's coming from, but it's like he's also a lot of a cause, not to give anything away, a lot of cause of what's going on, So I kind of like this, because this is really from our community's perspective. This is things we live. This is what we deal with, I think I had some other comments here. Before it gets too late, I like to mention I really loved the altar and the makawit. I'm not sure it's saying it. That was amazing. I hope there's a sequel. I hope to see that in use. That'd be really cool. Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Well, look, I've been chatting with my editor. I hope, I'm going up to New York in October. So I'll be like, okay, are we doing lunch or what? I honestly, I I had to put that in there. That weapon is so cool. And again, you know, I love going back to roots. I love going old school. I love touching on that beautiful, rich history and using the alien teeth. I don't know what I was thinking. I just thought that'd be super cool because they're so, because in every film, every image, you have the xenomorph, you know, those teeth and the drool, and they're so fierce and just terrifying. What if you had a weapon made from those? And they look like obsidian. They look like shards of obsidian. And for me, it wasn't a big stretch. And the altar, yes, Santa Muerte. And I have a few Santa, I have her right here. She guided me. She wanted to be in the book. But I mean, the altar had to, of course, and then I have this Santa Muerte. She had to be in there. And so you know, this is in the book, this is the actual figurine I write about, because it's on my desk, and with the cornucopia, and she's got her offerings. But I had to have, you know, and she's here, she has her little ofrenda there, but you know, definitely I needed an altar because Jeanette's dead, and you know, I wanted Dia de los Muertos there because you do get that spiritual side, which is important to me, and how we're tied to each other. But also, you know, it's a horror book. It's sci-fi horror. You know, I don't know why we can't put, you know, ancestral beliefs in there, and I wanted to.
Well, I think the xenomorphs, they can carry quite a lot of like symbology, right? I mean, they can be death, they can be reproduction, they can be sexuality, they can be greed, and also I loved it when like I believe she wanders in you know how they transform those areas, and she thought it could be a friend of Santa Muerte, and she mentioned that, and like this is again, you know, showing how culture changes the point of view. And what I really liked at the end, I kind of see her being set up to being this kind of badass alien killer. I mean, she's got weapons made out of them, and she has the ofrenda, and she's got, you know, she's not afraid, you know.
Yeah, I wanted to do it, so.
So I mean, I think you've probably seen the movie Prey, right?
Not yet.
Not yet, really.
I've had to finish. Honestly, I've had to finish a novel. So Alejandra is with Del Rey on a 2-book deal. So I had to finish the second book. And then my book, Goddess of Filth, I've just adapted for screen. And so I've just been boom, boom, boom every night.
That's great.
And it's also summer vacation, and my children are out of school. So it's just been, when they go back to school and, you know, I'm kind of done with the things I've got to do. I still have a few more like things I need to wrap up. Then I'm gonna watch Prey.
Well, I mean, like I think you.
And I want to write a Predator book. I've already planted the seeds. Like I've written the pitches for AVP and Predator. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. I mean, what it got me thinking is that the Prey came out. I think it's got like good response as far as like there's a strong brown woman. I mean, your book's about a strong brown woman who's fighting aliens and whatnot. And I think, I mean, this is kind of a good thing and a little bit new in a way. You know, I mean, they've had white women action, you know, like be the center and stuff like that. But it's still brown women, not very much. You know, it's still.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
I know, and I'm working to fix that.
Yeah.
I'm doing my best.
You mentioned your other books. Would you say like this book, is it similar to these aliens books? Is it similar to the other books as far as like theme or like far as
The Haunting of Alejandra?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically my version of La Llorona.
Oh, I see.
Again, we've had so many versions of La Llorona, but I wanted to work it through the perspective of La Llorona and of being a woman. Like, what would drive a woman to kill her children herself? Besides the love of a man. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, it's a little like, where's the source? What's the source of the story? So I bring it back to, again, I take it to the colonization, when the Spanish land and the bloodline of Alejandra all the way back there. And also kind of play with postnatal depression and generational trauma, generational curses. And so you get the real story. And so it follows a lot of what I do, where I want to dig deep. And again, back to the ancestors, back to who we are at our core and our histories.
I also see like La Llorona is like kind of, you know, a reflection of a different kind of colonialism, right? The Spaniards, they, you know, like, as we know, like the men came and they used women, and they were all a little bit of them because they got with everybody. And it's,
you got to read the book and see what happened. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's what it's about.
Let's see. I'd like to ask you. So you live in the UK. Does your writing help you kind of connect with? I guess because you're from Texas, right? San Antonio.
Yeah.
Does it help you connect with Texas and Chicanos? I mean, and going on that, maybe you can tell us a bit what it's like being a Chicana in the UK.
Yeah, I mean, here, I mean, look, yeah, I obviously this, you know, for me, publishing and being a writer, a woman of color, it's not an easy road. It's not straightforward, you know. It's you really have to persevere. And every time I say I'm just going to quit, I'm done, you know, I get people messaging me and just saying like, God, what you do, what you write, how you connect. Do you know how important what you know, how what you wrote is important, how it made me feel? And I'm like, I can't stop. Who am I kidding? You know, that it, you know, it's important that it does have a place in the world. And I'm so honored that, you know, that I have a place in people's hearts, and it really resonates with them. So yeah, I mean, connection is very important. And, you know, even more so, I think, you know, after everybody went through with the pandemic, and, you know, so just still going on, but not in the way that we experienced before. And being a Chicana here, I mean, nobody really knows what that is, or they kind of are like, they have no idea what my background is. So that's fine. I just leave it at that, and kind of, you know, like with any, even in publishing and this and that, you know, I stay in my lane, I do my thing. You know, if I see stuff, I'll call it out. But in general, you know, I want to like just write my books, write my stories. I want to help people. I want to be there and be a voice, to give other people a voice through storytelling.
That's great.
Anyone who like reads my books or reads this book, please leave a review or a rating. Absolutely. Share it. Pre-orders are super important for books, and especially for writers of color. So if The Haunting of Alejandra, or, you know, Aliens Vasquez, you know, kind of you fancy it, definitely please pre-order, please share it. Greatly appreciate. Leave a rating or review, even if the review is, it was cool. That's fine. Yeah, you know, it's really important now. I think that, you know, a lot of people want to say like, oh, cancel culture, or you have a lot of a few certain types of writers complaining that all the opportunities are being, you know, snatched by writers of color, and that is, or writers from marginalized communities. That is simply not true.
Not true at all.
We really scrape for everything we got. So, and we work hard, and we really, you know, we really have to show up for ourselves for each other. So I would say, please, support your writers, your books from authors from marginalized communities. It's really important. And, because we want more books like Aliens Vasquez. We want more, queer writers. We want more women of color. We want more of those stories. So, yeah. And that's why, readers are so important. I'm like, thank you. Readers are exceptionally important.
Absolutely. And I think with your book is exactly what, like, we often say, we want books written for our community, towards our community, by our community. This is a book, I mean, this is a book, I think, for us. And I think people should read it and like it and review it, like you're saying.
Thank you. I think literally you're the first person. So like once we finish this, I'm going to go on Twitter and be like, I actually.
So let everyone know I read it as fast as I could. I read it as fast as I could all the way through. It was really like I wanted. This is it's really great to read. It's a really great read. I really enjoyed it. So when does Alien Vasquez drop?
October 25th.
It's available October 25th.
But yeah, so everybody like either pre-order it or wait until October 25th, and everybody buy it on October 25th. Like just like rush out and get it. Everybody push buy on October 25th. So don't pre-order it, just buy it on October 25th. And so there's like lots of orders on the day of.
And if your bookstore doesn't have it, ask them to get it.
Yeah, and I'm going to be at Merrimack Valley Book Festival in Haverhill, Massachusetts on October 15th. And even though the book doesn't drop until October 25th, if you come to the festival, I will have copies.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, V. Castro, very much for your time. I know you were in England and it was a weird time to be talking.
That's okay.
So
I love readers. So, thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate it.
So the book's Alien Vasquez, October 25th, right? And,
that's right.
Thanks everyone.
The Haunting of Alejandra. Yeah, the Haunting of Alejandra.
Haunting Alejandra.
That one you can pre-order now.
Pre-order that now. Buy Aliens Vasquez on October 25th.
On the day.
Well, thank you, and buy Aliens Vasquez.